Hello there, world. Bettina Carey here, and I'm the founder and CEO of We Empower You, the global community, and WeEmpowerYourLife.com, the website. And for those of you who are new to us, We Empower You is an online community of support of like-minded people, and it's an empowerment movement designed for coaches and entrepreneurs. And I'm Bettina Carey, as I said. I'm an empowerer, and I want everyone, and that includes entrepreneurs, coaches, authors, mentors, speakers, thought leaders, and service-based business owners to break through to multiple six figures in their income. And my goal is to leave a lasting legacy here by supporting anyone who wants to grow a small online business, coaching and service-based business in particular. At our weekly Wednesday meetings, we go over specific go-to marketing, go-to-media, go-to-branding, go-to-podcast guesting, and go-to-community strategies to help you to successfully market your business. Are you wondering how to boost your visibility, your media visibility and specifically, and profitability now? Do you have a compelling story that you think the world deserves to hear? Well, today I'm going to be interviewing Lynette Hoy. She is going to be hosting a masterclass coming up in September, and I'm going to have her explore and explain her topic, 3 uncommon ways to boost your media visibility and profitability without pulling your hair out or losing your mind. And so I'm going to go ahead and introduce her real quick here. Since 1994, publicity campaign expert Lynette Hoy has practiced public relations in different capacities, inclusive of founding her firm, Fire Talker PR, 11 years ago. The fire chief, as she's come to be known, has worked with organizations like the National Institutes of Health, the American Cancer Society to put their products, services, and events on the map. And in the profit sector, Lynette has turned C-suite executives into speakers and thought leaders featured in major media, including CNN, MSNBC, Inc. magazine, Fortune magazine, to just name a few. And a fiery connector that she is, an idea generator, Lynette's VIP mentoring program and other services increase the bottom line. And that's really what we're here to talk about today. So are you wondering how you can boost your media visibility and you are getting that story out there? Well, we are here today with Lynette. Thank you so much for joining me. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you, Bettina. It's a pleasure.
It's so great. Of course, we are now joined at the hip here because we are offering services together, but you are also going to be doing this wonderful masterclass coming up. I attended your last one. It was very, very rich, filled with all kinds of wonderful go-to strategies that people can deploy immediately. Like I was even doing things right on the call. So I want to help people to address the subject of becoming the media trusted source that folks can become once they have their act together. So how does the masterclass prepare someone to really land that spotlight that so many of their colleagues and constituents might be having?
It's really a work in progress, and it all starts by understanding what a visibility platform is. And I go into this in the masterclass and we learn about it. And a visibility platform is something that I liken to a garden, where we till the soil and we plant the seeds and we take care of it and nurture it, and the garden becomes beautiful and bountiful. And when our visibility platform gets that way, it becomes almost impossible for the media to ignore it. So as part of that, with the 3 uncommon ways, we look at leveraging creativity in ways that people just don't do and they don't understand, and coming up with stories. So we spend time there. We're also, another uncommon way is to creating an online media kit that is much different than what a lot of people think an online media kit is. It's my signature kit. It's very in-depth, and it actually comes together like an ebook. So I'll be touching on that, and we're going to be going through a lot of the fundamentals. And then the third uncommon way that we'll spend time on is the laying out of a good press room. And that's like a microsite on your website that houses everything having to do with media that is needed, like downloadable press images and links to press releases you've written and articles where you've been featured and television interviews and podcasts, and having all of that media presence in a press room so that it's ready and available for the media to evaluate you. And then for your next client to be seen what you're made of, and talk about boosting your credibility. Someone else might have 20 years on you in terms of experience. But when your system is put together properly for showcasing you and your expertise, you can shave off 15 years and really come across as the expert that you are, because you've got social proof. You've got it all going on. And that's really what people want to see. And that also includes angel investors too. They check out press rooms.
That's absolutely true. And one thing leads to another, right? So you and I recently worked on an opportunity that I had in my lap, which was to be featured in Global Woman magazine. And since we've come up with the idea of working collaboratively together, I went ahead and hired you to help me get this done. And I'm so glad we did, because we ended up having really great answers to the questions that were being asked, obviously edited by you. And it was just really wonderful to work with you. So these are the kinds of opportunities that can unfold. One thing leads to another, and that's pretty much how it's happened. You know, I just also got recently offered the opportunity to participate as a show host in yet another program. This is my second radio / podcast opportunity that's come my way in the last year and a half. And I'm so excited. And I am positive that it had to do with my media presence. This is something that you can start out really small, but then it can snowball into lots of opportunities. So can you describe a little bit about how this masterclass is going to prepare someone to literally take that first step forward to be the credible source on television, radio, podcasts, and other media?
Well, one of the ways that we do that in the masterclass is learning about media preparedness. So I take people through the basics of how to show up virtually, as well as in a television studio, and also how to show up on social media so that you are positioned to be someone that the media wants to interview. And a little tip on that, and I share this in the masterclass as well, is we have to be really careful about how we're showing up on social media. And what does that mean? It means keeping politics and religion out of your talk. And that's very difficult when we have a personal page and we think that all of our posts are personal on our personal page because we've marked them to only have our friends see them. But that's just not true. That information gets out there in the internet and it can be found. And when you are talking poorly about others in a way that spreads hate, in a way that individualizes you in a perspective that may not be flattering to someone in the media that wants to interview you, it can truly work against you. And I'll give you an example. One of my previous clients was an evangelical pastor and really spent a lot of time on his personal page speaking about things that perhaps were not always flattering for everyone involved. And it put a bad taste in the mouth of major media that researched him, of course. And this was with CNN. And they researched him to see what was out there. What was he about? What does he talk about? How does he show up in the world? And even though I had asked him to delete several posts, there were others that he didn't want to delete. And ultimately, once something's been out there, it's out there anyway.
Yeah.
So CNN called me and said they had no desire to interview this individual because of his viewpoints and how polarized he was. So there is nothing wrong with thinking the way you think and feeling the way that you feel. But when we're business owners, entrepreneurs, up and coming speakers and authors, we have to really be non-committal in terms of how we speak online, because that follows us. Think about when we were younger and there was something online, maybe for our kids or our kids or whatever it is, and you're in college and there's a frat party and beer drinking and people taking off their clothes and Lord knows what else, and it ends up online.
Yeah.
And this sort of thing stays with you forever. Even though you delete these pictures and delete posts and things like that, we just have to be really cognizant of how we're showing up in the world and that we are being of value and purpose to others. So when you come from that state of mind and you come from your heart, it becomes much easier to not be as opinionated so that we don't shoot ourselves in the foot in terms of being visible and showing up in a way that the media can support.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that, Bettina?
Oh, totally. I've never put anything political out there in terms of my personal page or my business page or anything like that. I agree with you because I'm a business owner. I'm not just a person. I'm not just a regular person. I've got a message that I'm delivering, and I want it to come out a certain way and be a certain way. And I'm very just aware of the impact that it can have on people. I'm not hiding anything. I'm not hiding my true self in this manner. It's just a matter of, do I want to be of service? And when I want to be of service, I want to be talking to everyone. I'm not a one-sided person. I'm always looking at the other sides and other people's opinions and so on and so forth. So I 100% would agree with you in terms of our media image and what it can and cannot do for us. And we have to manage it, just like any reputation, you've got to manage it. So that's a really good point. And I'm sure you're going to cover that on the Boost Your Visibility and Profitability Masterclass. So I'm going to actually bring up this website that you have here so that folks can actually take a look at signing up. And let me hit my share button here and bring this up. What else can you tell us? I mean, this is an affiliate link for me, but it's under uncommonpr.net. And tell us a little bit about what this process of signing up is all about.
Very, very simple. You go to the page, yes, I want to go, takes you to where you put your name and email, and you get a thank you followed up by another email that confirms. And then we get your Zoom information, we get all of that to you in another email. Very simple and straightforward. And I'm really excited. We also will be sending you a link to your workbook, which we'll be using during the class. And it's a wonderful way to learn how to really make a difference in your life and in your business. The masterclass truly feeds the soul, I think, in terms of how we show up.
Yes. And, connecting the dot between having media attention and leading that to profitability is another important component that we might want to talk about. So I'm going to pull this down, but I just want to remind everybody it's September the 8th through the 10th, 11 to 12:30 Pacific time. Can you help to connect the dot? Like, give an example of a client opportunity where you helped them get some media attention and it led to their profitability, because this is the real reason why media attention is so important to businesses.
Absolutely. First of all, getting visible does not mean you will be immediately profitable. And it's really important to make that distinction. Just like when we start our businesses, we're not $1 million babies right off the bat. It takes time to grow a profitable business. And in that same light, we need to start getting media attention and get out there to ultimately start generating those warm leads. And a great example is a client of mine, a recent client who had never been on television before. And I go through this example in the masterclass because I just love it. And I taught her well how to show up, be media ready. And we had her online media kit. We had everything rolling, her press room. She has a beautiful media kit. And she had made a pitch, which I had also taught her how to do. And when you make a pitch to the media, what that means is you've created a story and you've now found your ideal media. We go into that a bit too. And you email them or you call them and you talk to them about your story, and you either send them additional backup, or when you're emailing, your story, your headline goes in the subject line, and the body of that information from the press release goes into the email and we send it. Well, I taught her how to do this very well. She was in Mexico, taking a 3-day break in Mexico to work from a resort in Mexico. When you're doing well, you can do these things. You can work from wherever you want to. And she came back. She'd made her pitch a couple of days before she left. And she's walking down through the airport and the phone rings, and it's her local television station. And they want her to come do a segment on the 5 o'clock news that day. She didn't panic. She didn't panic. It was actually 3 o'clock her time. And she had exactly 2 hours to get herself ready. Now, she just got off a plane. And, you know, you got plane hair, you got the wrinkled clothes from being on a plane. Well, she went to her car, and in her trunk is what I call the interview bag. And in that interview bag is her makeup, everything she needs. She's got wrinkle-free clothing in that bag, ready to roll. So she goes to the restroom right there at the airport. She gets herself all media ready, and she already knows her talking points. She's sent everything that needs to be to the media when they needed it. She knows exactly what to expect. And so do they.
Right.
So she arrives, she has a great interview. After they were through, they asked her, and this is because she was so ready and she knew her material. They asked her, do you have somewhere where our viewers can go and get more information? She had her free offer ready to go, which absolutely coordinated with everything that she just talked about. It was a link that was dedicated to her free offer, and it enabled her to capture warm leads, and she was able to reach out to these people. And she kept a separate list. She made her calls after the interview. She ended up bringing in 3 new clients over the period of about 6 weeks following the television interview. So it really works. And it takes time. When you go on television the very first time, it's not going to be the same as the 8th time or even the 5th time or the 3rd time. And when you're really intensely involved in what you're talking about, and you're talking from the heart, which is a big deal when it comes to sales, it just works. And you get offers. People will say, how can people get in touch with you? Maybe you give your website, but predominantly you want to give them a way to get on your list. And that's what she did. And that's how she followed up with those warm leads that converted to new business.
Well, I have a feeling that folks are going to get more than 3 ways to boost their visibility in the media, knowing you, Lynette. So I'm looking forward to attending and being a part of this. And of course, it's always great to have you. Give us some closing thoughts. And again, remind people how they can sign up, because that's always important.
Some closing thoughts, I think, really revolve around 2 things. One, start consuming media. A lot of people say, oh, I don't watch television. Well, how in the world are you going to get interviewed in a studio, in a network station, or for that matter, on a video TV channel? How are you going to do this if you're not consuming, if you're not watching the programming to see if you're fit, to see if this is where you want to be, right? And then the next thing is give yourself some grace. Know that it takes time and energy and that you need to really dedicate yourself to it. And it's not so hard once you get it figured out and you get that visibility platform built. It starts to work like clockwork. And I go into great detail on that in the masterclass. And then I encourage you all to sign up sooner than later at uncommonpr.net, just like it sounds, uncommonpr.net.
That's great. And hopefully I will see all of you watching there on September the 8th through the 10th. And that's 11 to 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you so much for joining us here today. You've been watching We Empower You. This has been the Go-To Media session and with Lynette Hoy. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.